to the time where we have our true personal stories, and we're going to be starting off with Peter Schumann. Now, Peter, he moved here 30 years ago. He landed at LAX with a suitcase and a smile, and even though he had a successful middle management career at Hewlett-Packard in Melbourne, Australia, he was looking for new challenges and a new lifestyle. Before long, he was involved in Cox Community Public Access Television, producing the Torrance Air Show, Reno Air Races, and a story on the weird and wonderful of Hermosa Beach. While LA was exciting and colorful, the cost of living was killing him, and 10 years ago, Peter started a TV show in Lake Havasu called Walkabout. Peter now resides in Gilbert, Arizona, and is often referred to as the Thunder from Down Under. Please welcome Peter up.
G'day. Well, guess what? You're in for trouble. Here's the story. Sometimes in your life, it starts off weird. It starts off different. And you have to go with what you're given. So here I am, born in Melbourne, Australia, from parents who escaped the Nazi Holocaust. So we really didn't have much money. We're very poor. And we lived in the bush. Everybody know what the bush is, right? Well, it's not quite the outback, but it's the bush. There's trees. And every day we'd have to walk to school. So I walked probably about 2 miles to school every morning through this little trail through the woods. And on the way back one afternoon, I saw all this commotion from the top of the hill where I live, where the main road enters the dirt road. And all these people were standing around, and I thought, geez, there's something going on there. I better take a look. I'm another, 14-year-old kid? I'm interested. So I scrambled out, my pace quickened a little bit, and I got to the group of people, and, a little kid, forced my way through the legs, and here's my brother lying dead on the road. And his motorbike was all smashed up. So it was a subject of a hit and run. And everyone yelled out, "Get him out of there! That's his brother! Get him out of there!" And I'm panicking, I'm thinking, this is really, really, really not good. So I ran all the way home down this dirt road. I told my parents, told my father. He came up and took care of it. So there were some major changes in our house directives. My dad said, no more motorbikes. We're not doing that anymore. It's just too dangerous. So my dad said, if you get a little car, you're fine. So I got this little car. What, $35? What do you get to that? I mean, they have wheels, that's all. And my dad said, if you can get this thing roadworthy, get it working, then you can drive it. And I said, okay. And the whole family's shaken by this, But anyway, that's what my father said. He's got the rules. So I got this car going. And a year later, I had it all finished. It was really cool. And I've got my brother sitting next to me and his friend in the back seat. And we're driving down this road in Croydon, and a car swerved in front of me, and naturally what I do, hit the brake and swerved away. But the problem is, this car's in that age and that price don't have much stability. So the car rolled. And it was a convertible. So to this day, I still see, when I close my eyes, the glitz of the glass at ground zero where my head was. They put me in the ambulance and they took me to the Box Hill Hospital, which was nearby. I said to the guy in the ambulance, what happened to Tony, my brother? He said, he didn't make it. The car rolled over him. So here we are, a family from Nazi Germany escaped to the wilderness of Australia. We're 4 boys, and now we're down to 2. This is pretty serious, heavy stuff. So I don't know how my family's ever survived that. I really don't. But within their own circle, I'm sure they managed to do it. But you see what happened to me. This is the cataclysmic thing that happened. I thought, holy shit, I'm next. This is scary. And then to top it off that, a lot of my friends were dying. My animals got killed on the road. And particularly one of my best friends who got into the Air Force as an Air Force pilot, which is what I wanted to do. And there was a news alert came up a couple of months later, and the news was about a crash that happened in Point Cook, which is the area around Melbourne. And I wasn't taking much notice of that until I heard the word Barry Mayu, which was my best friend. So here we are again. I'm starting to get really phobic because all my friends are hitting the dirt. They're going. And I got really, really anxious about this whole thing. So the result of that is I thought, I'm out of here. I'm next. So I quit my job, I quit my education, and I jumped on a ship and I went to a place called England. But I stopped on a few places on the road, and that's the story of another day, for another time, for another day. But the point is I went to England because I needed to get sucked in as much as I can of humanness, of experience, because I'm next. I don't like that idea. And so that's what I did. I went to England and I did some crazy, well, not crazy, but I worked in a film studio with, anybody know Roger Moore and Raquel Welch, all that stuff. I worked with these people on A Million Years BC, the whatever shows were some time ago, but I got a real kick out of that. And I was the Raquel Welch. And I got involved, she was arguing with me because my cuts weren't on time, so we didn't get along. But the point is that I'm doing all this new stuff, and I really was relentless because I'm next. And I bought this little van in Britain. It was an old meat delivery van. Yeah, I know, you can imagine. I had to scrape all the fat off the inside, but it was cheap. It was £60. I mean, you can't let that go. So I travelled in Britain, but then I went to where the hell am I? In Europe. I've got my parents, or not my parents, but my family is in Berlin. So I'm on my way to Berlin, but I'm sightseeing on the way. So being a bush boy, you don't use campgrounds, you don't use hotels, you camp in a trail. So that's what I did. And one particular night, there was a rumbling, and my van shaking. I thought, Jesus, what's this? This is scary. So I'm in my undies, I get up and then, get the fog away from the window, and all this white stuff's rolling past. I thought, geez, what's this? So I did a bit more, and I thought, hang on, this is snow. This is not good. So I jumped in my undies in my driver's seat and took off on that trail. And next morning, I read in the Zeitung, the newspaper in Germany, that whole area was covered with an avalanche. So that's what I'm saying. 19 lives, 16 lives coming up. Wait for the next one. So here I go. I'm traveling into Bavaria, and on my way to Berlin to see my in-laws. And there was a beautiful trail that goes off into the woods, the Grunewald, and into the woods up this mountain. And there was a beautiful shaved top of this mountain, and the vista was unbelievable. So I hung out there, stayed the night, cooked my breakfast. I'm sitting there in the morning looking at this amazing, I would like to get a picture, but another day. I'm looking at having my breakfast, and this Jeep rolls up. And I thought, what's going on? And these military guys jump out of this Jeep. He said, "Was ist los? What you doing here?" And I said, "Look, mate, can't you see? I'm having my breakfast. Give me a break. Have a cup of tea, my boiled egg." And finally he said, "You have to be out of here. Get your house here in 5 minutes." I said, "What's up?" He said, "You've camped in a tank training ground, and we're going to blow the top of this mountain off in 5 minutes." You see what I mean by the lives gone here, right? And the story just keeps thickening all the time. And the point I'm trying to make is that when you do life, you've got to just push the envelope. Stuff happens. And it's the way you deal with it. And sometimes you think maybe there's some spirit that's guiding you, but I tell you, you've only heard 2 or 3. One day I'll come in and tell you the whole lot because you'll be scared out of your pants. I'm sorry, it's just a lot of stuff went on. But you see, it was a charter that I had to do because I'm next. And I could not afford to take the chance of just curling over and dying with nothing in my life. So I went back to Britain and I worked there for about the next 2 years. And then I went back to Australia and I'm different. I'm totally different. People look at me and say, "Hey, geez, Pete, you're different. You know, what's up, man? You're weird." But the thing is, this stuff affects you. When you escape this far from death, this is really a major element in who you are. It changes your whole perspective. After I went back to Australia, I thought, well, what am I going to do? So I ran a business for a period of time. It was a successful business. I'm electronics. I'm a good troubleshooter, and I'm good at dodging bullets. But the point is, I did that because I needed to involve myself in my world, in my life. But at one point, again, this whole issue came up again when my uncle died and other family members died, and I thought, I've got to make this next move. Well, what do we do? I said, you know what? With all my travels, I'd been around America too. I thought, geez, America's really the place to make money. Not much else, but it's a great place to make money. So I said to my parents, I said, "Mum, Dad," I said, "Look, I want to go to America." My dad says, "Well, have a nice trip, son. We'll see you when you get back." I said, "I'm not coming back." Oh, place went quiet. But the most poignant thing that my parents said to me, my father and my mother, they said to me, "Pete, we just want you to follow your star," because I was concerned it was irresponsible to leave my aging parents and disappear to this freaking place called America. And my dad said to me, "We just want you to follow your own star, follow your own dream, be who you want to be." So then the fear factor came in. I got to put up or shut up. So at that point, I'm starting to crank it up, and I think time's getting away here, and I'm seeing America as really the gold mine for me. So one day, I got the strength, bought a ticket, a one-way ticket in Sydney to come to America. So there I was. I landed at LAX with a suitcase and a smile. And the rest is a story for another day. Thank you for attention.
That's great. Hey, let me ask you one question. Yes, it's required. How was it going from Australia to England, adjusting to the weather? Yeah, adjusting.
The weather, yeah, that's a problem. That was the problem coming from Australia, going to Britain. But you know what? You're young. You're stupid. You're virulent. You do weird stuff to survive. But this makes you who you are. It changes you. People say, "Pete, you're different." What do you mean? You're weird? No, I said, "You're different." No.
That's the only question for now.
Oh,
There'll
really?
be more later on. Thank you. All right.